Australia, 65,000 years of perfect symbiosis between human beings and the environment. And then the Brits landed, and within 200 years, the country, and by extension the planet, was uninhabitable because they dug up and burnt down everything they could get their fucking hands on. You want to know the definition of irony? It's loads of Irish backpackers wrapped in the Australian flag that even has the butcher's apron on it, celebrating Australia Day, which is known as Invasion Day. It's the 26th of January, when Captain Cook sailed in and started taking someone's land. I believe down here in the Republic you've got a different view of things, but you forget it when you get a few Guinnesses in you in Irish pubs in Australia. So, I am Australian, but people ask me, how did you end up in Ireland?
How did you end up in Ireland?
Thank you for asking, Dublin. I'll tell you how I ended up in fucking Ireland. I married an Irishman. Yeah. But now he's my ex-husband, and neither of us can get the shift. Put your hands up if you can get the shift. There you go. Call yourself a comedian. We're only up here because of the sex. Do you think I'd be standing on a pallet midweek if I was getting a fucking shift? In Australia, we don't call it the shift. The first time that someone said to me, "Oi, shifted up," I was like, where? I assumed that like it helped her move house. I'm like, where did you start? Where did you end up? He said, no, or shifted up, or got me whole. I'm like, did you just reduce the entire complexity of human intimacy and courtship to a single orifice? I think he did, but he said, no, it's the whole of her. I got my arms on the whole of her, even if you just shifted. So I'm like, I don't think he was telling me the truth. So I met my ex, my second husband. My first husband died of autoerotic asphyxiation. He was always highly strung. The wanker. So I met my second husband. He was an Irish backpacker working in a sex shop. He wasn't working in the sex shop. I was working in the sex shop. And he was not the first Irish backpacker to wander into that sex shop, because it was 2009 and there were 30,000 visas held by Irish people in Perth at that particular time, and twice as many sleeping on their couches because they were overstaying and they weren't going to go back to fucking Ireland because the Celtic tiger had died. Incidentally, all the fucking banks, you put your entire economy up your nose. It wasn't the banks. All you did was work for cash and take coke and yolks and like spend and go to Ibiza 5 times a fucking year. Banks me fucking hole. So but they all ended up out in Perth, and of course, once they got away from their mammies, they flooded into the sex shop like they were fucking culture grannies attending a Daniel O'Donnell hosted exhibition of crochet and fucking scones. That was like, because the sex shop had adult retail items, and then it had porn internet booths, and then it had a peep show behind it. So the Irish boys came in there like it was fucking Christmas, because it was in the same street as the Irish pub, Rosie O'Grady's, of course. So they would come in, and they developed a bit of a workaround, because when you're out drinking in Ireland, and you're Irish, and you're a fella, you just duck down the alley and have a piss. But when you're walking around Northbridge in Perth, which is the alfresco precinct of like sex shops and family restaurants and Irish pubs, if you walk down the alleyway to have a wee, a big dirty big blue thing called a policeman will follow you down the alley and hand you a pink slip and say, that's a $200 fine for indecent exposure. What do you mean fucking indecent exposure? No, I'm fucking sorry, I'm down the fucking alley. Just like, just be at the station on Monday morning, mate, and pay your fine. So they developed a workaround because not many public loos, but the peep show had booths. Put your hand up if you've been in the peep show.
Oh.
The Aussie.
In Melbourne, that was the fucking Club X, yep. So I worked at Club X. So peep show, this is the deal. You go into the peep show,
You've got to go and have a
you
look.
drop a
What it's
coin,
all about.
$2 coin, and a window opens. On the other side of the glass is a
Ooh.
girl dancing. You put in the $2 coin first of all, she takes off the top. You put in the second $2 coin, she takes off the bottoms. You keep putting the money in and the dance keeps getting more explicit. But if you shut the door and you need a piss, so the reason I started working the peep show, yes I did, is I started off on the counter. So I was working for like 10 quid an hour on the counter, but I had to do all the mopping.
Oh.
Exactly. So, for instance, in the adult retail store, there were all sorts of things. Then there was a bank of porn internet booths, where you could go into your booth, lock the door, Google whatever you wanted. But of course it was porn. There was a lovely little 80-year-old Italian fella. He'd come in once a month. I had to go in and lean over him and then booties in his face while he found the lesbian porn. And then once he left, I had to go and do the mopping. And the wiping down of the keyboard. But the reason I decided to go into the peep show was one night, 3 o'clock in the morning, and every single peep show booth was awash with piss and bodily fluids.
Oh, gee.
And I had to go and deal with that. But the stripper, who was on behind the glass, she was leaving with like 500 cash on the books, plus so much more. We had to like put it down the boots and things so she wouldn't get